Hello, I'm Brian Fox. Welcome to I Hate Rock Music. Today I want to talk about Last Exit, the free jazz supergroup. So they're not technically a rock band, but first of all, I love them. And second of all, a lot of rock fans and even metal fans would really love this band. In fact, one critic said that, quote, volume and violence that makes most free rock, makes most rock sound tame, unquote. And that is absolutely true. They are balls to the wall, full of a lot of great noise, a lot of great guitar noise, a lot of powerful drumming. They definitely are violent and loud, and I love violent and loud in music. And they're a super group because in those circles, all of these people are legends. Bill Laswell on bass, of course, he was with Material and Fred Frith's Massacre, another great power trio, and has been involved in a lot of projects with John Zorn and things on the John Zorn's Zadig label, and is a giant in the music industry today. It's certainly in the underground and certainly in rock and rock jazz hybrids. And then Peter Brotzman on sax. If you want to hear a screeching, reed biting monster, Peter Brotzman has been a German legend of free jazz for many, many decades. And then the Ronald Shannon Jackson on drums. I just did a video on power tools, which he was involved in. He's, of course, played with Ornette Coleman and any number of other free jazz projects. Total legend, total monster on the drums. And then the last member, Sonny Sharrock, the great noise jazz rock guitar player. He's one of the innovators of noise on guitar. Had a few solo albums out in the late '60s, early '70s, and then had played with Miles Davis and has a bunch of solo albums out since then, and has a relatively high profile. But he's a totally incendiary guitar player, and so when you put Laswell, Brotzman, Sharrock, and Jackson together in this band, it's about as monster lineup as you get. And as legends of noise and power, they really deliver the goods. They're as powerful as any rock band I've ever heard, and they're certainly more powerful than just about any jazz or jazz rock band out there ever. When I think about my ideas of what jazz rock fusion should sound like, it's more like this. And I love bands like Mahavishnu Orchestra and Return to Forever and the like. But this is the direction I like to see it go more in. One might suggest it's more rock oriented, but it's really not. It's definitely free jazz, and so I wouldn't really lump them in with the rock crowd. But as I pointed out, they certainly have everything it takes to appeal to a rock crowd with the kind of violence and loudness and just wall of sound they put up. So the first album came out in 1986, Last Exit on Enemy Records, and then they put out a live album also in 1986, Noise of Trouble live in Tokyo, and then 1987 record called Cassette Recordings. It's lo-fi, but it really still captures the brutality of the band. And then 1990, a concert they recorded in Cologne, Germany in 1986 was released, and then in 1993. Head First Into the Flames, another live album. I think that's the one that has Akira Sata from Japan on sax and Herbie Hancock on keyboards. But in 1988, they also released a studio album called Iron Path, and that was on the Venture label. All the rest is on Enemy Records. But as a studio recording, of course, it's a bit more restrained than their other records, but it's still very powerful, and it gives a really clear picture of what was going on in the band. And the live records is just such a caterwaul, and it's just so unrelenting and over the top, and so loud and violent that it just becomes this amalgamation of brutality, and I love that. So the studio album is definitely really cool, and I'm glad they made a studio record. But it's too bad they had to stop in 1995. Sonny Sharrock passed, and that was pretty much the end of Last Exit. I suppose they could have maybe gotten another guitar player, maybe somebody like Pete Cozy or somebody like that. But I think the classic lineup is the definitive sound, and they would have been misguided to really carry on with another guitar player. But one of the all-time great free jazz groups. There really isn't anybody quite as noisy and loud and violent, certainly in the jazz world, as this band. They're pretty much the penultimate. I'm glad they existed. I'm glad we have these records. And if anything I've said has whetted your appetite, as usual, I'll put some links below. If you haven't heard them before, you're in for a total treat. They're not for the timid, so brace yourself. I'm Brian Fox. Thanks for watching I Hate Rock Music.